watchdog.
We're not talking about recyclables. We're talking raw garbage.
Investigating your concerns.
How do you even know what we're... Keep the up!
He won't back down.
I'm trying to be fair to you. I don't want to... I'm trying to be fair to you too, Mr. Monday.
Now, for the next hour, it's the best of Carl Monday.
There's never a shortage of controversy in Cleveland, stories that make international headlines.
And covering it all is our chief investigator, Carl Monday. A lot of people get nervous when they see Carl coming, armed with his microphone and tough questions. One of Carl's undercover investigations in 2013 was one that had many people fired up. A Cleveland police officer caught by our camera, clearly not fighting crime. Carl Monday investigates the man we call Sergeant Stay-at-Home.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
4th District Police Headquarters, the city's busiest police station, on the east side, in the heart of Cleveland's most crime-ridden neighborhood. So why is this police cruiser, in the middle of the day, parked in the driveway of a west side home in the 2nd District, nearly 9 miles away? What is the policy for officers leaving their district for non-police matters?
It's unacceptable conduct. I'm not allowed to do that without permission.
But we caught 4th District Sergeant Dean Grazioli in the middle of the workday at his home near Fulton Avenue. Not just once, but on 14 different days. It was like watching a scene from The Wizard of Oz.
There's no place like home.
Sergeant Grazioli starts work at 6 a.m., but only a few hours into his shift, he's on the road, making the crosstown trip to his home on Wichita Avenue, using a city car, the city's gas, and staying up to 3 hours on city time. He then drives back to the 4th District in the police vehicle before returning home for the day in his personal SUV. We wanted to know what Sergeant Stay-at-Home was supposed to be doing on the days we caught him parked in his own drive. After we asked the chief's office for his duty logs, no surprise what happened next. The homesick sergeant started working a full day.
Hey, Sarge, how you doing today?
And arriving home in his personal vehicle.
Good to see you work a full day today. Yeah, how are you, sir?
Where's your patrol car today? We're used to seeing it in the driveway here.
It's back at the district, sir.
But Grazioli's disappearing act isn't something new. In this photo, from 2010, the sergeant isn't fighting crime. He's helping workers deliver new furniture to his home. What we just don't understand is, you work in the 4th District and your car's parked in the 2nd District at your house for hours on end. It doesn't make any sense to us.
I understand what your reasoning is, sir, for being here. I understand it.
What no one seems to understand is, how is Grazioli getting away with it? And for so long. His duty logs make no mention of the home visits. A couple of times, he did say he was stopping at the 2nd District Police Station. But here he is, at home, taking out the trash, while we're paying him to fight crime. I mean, what do you think taxpayers would say when they know that your police car is sitting in the driveway here, and we assume you're sitting inside for hours on end when you're supposed to be working?
I understand, sir. And once again, without discussing with my superiors, I wouldn't want to make any comments to you that are inappropriate.
Were the sergeant's superiors aware of his crosstown excursions? We went to the 4th to try and talk to the district commander. He said he was busy and sent his officer in charge to brush us off. That's what we're trying to find out.
To the public information officer, sir. That's my comment.
So you have no comment? Before leaving, we left our number with the commander. He never called back. Leaving the question, are some cops getting special treatment?
And certainly would never be given permission to leave their assigned areas for a non-police related purpose.
Safety Director Marty Flask says Grazioli's home visits appear to be off limits. Is there any reason why an officer would be allowed to leave their district and go home while on duty and, then spend, 2 or 3 hours at home virtually every day?
Absent a family emergency of some type, there's no justification for it.
Many of Grazioli's duty logs show he was monitoring radio broadcasts to follow up on assignments. Was he monitoring the calls from the comforts of his home? We asked for copies of the 911 calls on days his cruiser was parked in his drive. We were trying to be fair to you. I don't want to,
I'm trying to be fair to you too, Mr. Monday.
Grazioli does have the department's permission to work off duty, including a job at the Horseshoe Casino. Could it be he was coming home to catch some Z's?
I'd rather just hold my comments until my superiors are informed of my reasonings.
Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
At last check, Sergeant Grazioli is still under investigation.
Now it's time to talk about trash. Tons of it. Mounds of waste wasting away across Cleveland. So why isn't it in a landfill instead of putting people's health at risk? Carl Monday has the details.
It may not look like it, but this building on Wayside Avenue in Collinwood houses one of the biggest illegal dump sites in the area, just a couple 100 feet from nearby homes. Guy Oriani owns the building and took us on a tour. The immediate stench and rat sightings, a warning of what was yet to come.
What did you think when you first walked in here and you saw tons and tons of garbage stacked up here?
Well, what can you think, man? You're devastated. Because how in the hell is this going to be cleaned up?
Oriani leased the building last year to this guy.
Are you Chris?
Yeah, how are you?
Hey, Carl Monday.
Chris Gattarello, a big-time player in the local garbage hauling business. Oriani says Gattarello leased the building to recycle paper and plastic, but instead used it as a garbage dump. No permits, no approval from the city, the EPA, or anyone else.
It's a classic scam. It is a classic scam against innocent property owners.
Richard Blake is Oriani's attorney and a former assistant U.S. attorney who prosecuted environmental criminals.
And after a few weeks or a few months, they find out that their property is basically a dump. And then they move on to the next victim.
Gattarello last operated under the name Axelrod Rubbish Recycling. Much of his business picking up garbage from familiar fast food chains and dumping it in the Collinwood neighborhood.
Did you personally do some of the, what they're now saying is illegal dumping?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Wayne Hiller is a former operations manager for Axelrod. He did what he was paid to do, but not without regrets.
It's destroyed neighborhoods. Those people on Wayside, they don't deserve that.
People like Rondell Mohammed, who lives right down the block.
Not good. Smell-wise, it wasn't good at all.
Not to mention those pesky little animals roaming the neighborhood.
You know, they got rats the size of this truck running across the street.
I mean, I have seen a rat at least the size of a baby rabbit, you know.
Get out of here.
Oh, yes.
Last fall, the city did order Oriani and Gattarello to clean up Wayside. Oriani has to pick up the tab.
Well, the guys came in here and quoted over $600,000 to clean it up. I said, you know, you could put up a skyscraper for $600,000.
Meantime, tens of thousands of tons, 322 truckloads of aging, smelly, rat-infested trash is going nowhere fast.
What did you think when you first walked into that Wayside site?
What in the hell is this? I stood there, raw garbage. Raw garbage. That's what it was. We're not talking about recyclables. We're talking raw garbage.
The Wayside Indoor Dump is located in Councilman Mike Polensik's ward. He's been fighting City Hall since last summer, trying to get the garbage removed.
This is a disaster, and it's got to get rectified.
Wayside isn't Cleveland's only illegal dump site, and not the only one bearing the fingerprints of Chris Gattarello.
We've been working on a story on a couple of sites where you guys did some dumping. We wanted to ask you about that.
We're closing the door.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
What we're talking about is this old National Acme site on Kirby Avenue.
Well, it's terrible. It's a terrible situation.
Sam Pendleton owns a business across the street. He watched the garbage haulers do their dumping in the dark of night.
These garbage trucks were filled to the brim.
That was 2 years ago, but look what's still here. Hundreds of thousands of tons of raw decaying garbage dumped right here, smack in the middle of the city.
We're not sure who dumped the trash, but we know who was supposed to clean it up. Axelrod Rubbish Recycling.
When are you going to clean up that mess? You want to roll down your window so we can talk?
When I took a ride over to the Kirby site, I couldn't even believe what I was looking at. Unbelievable. I stood there, I was like mortified. What in the hell is this?
Like Wayside, the Acme site is tied up in the courts with no resolution in sight. Meanwhile, Axelrod Rubbish Recycling has gone out of business, leaving behind an environmental nightmare.
This is going to be an environmental disaster for this city.
Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
And since our first report on this messy situation, we know Chris Gattarello is the target of a federal investigation. Carl is still digging for answers while no one appears to be in a hurry to finish digging through all that trash.
And from trash dumping to your mail tossed aside like garbage.
What's the deal with this pile of parcels hidden behind a Cleveland home? Carl Monday hit the streets to find out.
And then later, a convicted felon too close for comfort as kidnapping survivor Gina De Jesus puts her life back together.
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in. Welcome back to the best of Carl Monday.
Times are tough for the U.S. Postal Service. Money troubles could eventually cut your deliveries down to fewer days per week.
That's why this came as a huge shock to local postal workers and Carl Monday. Yeah. Now Carl's on a mission to find out who gave this delivery a stamp of approval.
Even under the best of conditions, delivering mail is physically demanding. On your feet, up to 10 miles a day, lugging a 40-pound sack over your shoulder. You just know the thought has crossed every letter carrier's mind, including Brandon Hawkins. I bet you some days you feel like just dumping the mail, huh?
Nah.
Yeah? You ever think of that? Maybe just kind of tossing some of the mail aside? And...
No.
No?
No, I can't do that. People got to get their mail.
But some people didn't get their mail because day after day, it was piling up behind this abandoned house on East 123rd. We saw it, and so did some of the neighbors.
You would drive up, check to see if anybody was checking to see if he was outside, and he walked in the backyard and dumped the mail.
We counted 10 postal bins full of mail, from big box and grocery store ads and coupons to time-sensitive political campaign material. Oh, Mayor Jackson his campaign paid for this ad. Never got sent. Landed up in the trash. Eugene Miller running for city council. Look, it's all wet. Anthony Jordan's running for judge. This campaign literature is not going to go anywhere. Is that your campaign literature?
Yes.
There?
Yes, it is.
What do you think when you see that?
Very disturbed. I'm shocked.
Jordan says the mailers were an essential campaign tool to get his qualifications before the voters.
So this is really a violation of the First Amendment to take these mailers that are meant to communicate the candidate's message to the public and to dump them.
Yeah, this is all Ward 8 news, look. Paid for by taxpayers. Just thrown out. Just tossed in the trash. But here's a picture of it. Sitting in some postal...
Wow.
Jeff Johnson is Ward 8's councilman. His mom and dad worked for the post office.
My dad was a carrier who took the pride of every morning getting up, putting on his uniform and walking. So he would just find that unacceptable.
Remember mail carrier Brandon Hawkins? His dad also works for the post office. In fact, he's the manager of the Lakewood branch. He can't be too pleased that it's his son that's suspected of dumping the mail. Have you ever been dumping mail behind a house at 687 East 123rd?
No, I don't know anything about that.
You sure? What's all that mail doing back there?
I don't know anything about that.
Seriously?
Yes.
What's on your route?
I don't know anything about that.
The post office also got tipped off. We were there when a couple employees showed up to check it out. What's all this mail doing here?
I don't know.
That's a good question. We're trying to find it out ourselves.
Mail carriers caught dumping in other cities have been suspended or fired, even gone to jail, especially when the dumping involved the kinds of mail we found on East 123rd. And take a look at this. Certified mail from the clerk of courts, from the juvenile courthouse, clerk of courts. Somebody didn't show up for court on time. No need for Brandon Hawkins to show up to work anytime soon. Other carriers are now covering his route. As agents for the Post Office Inspector General begin their investigation, hauling away the mail to determine when it was dumped and confirm who did the dumping. That wasn't you?
No, sir.
Well, who was it? You can bet they've already talked to carrier Brandon Hawkins. You're supposed to be working for the public here.
Exactly. You see what I'm doing here. Excuse me.
Well, then why are you dumping mail?
I'm not dumping mail, sir.
You're not delivering it.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I don't know anything about that, sir.
Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
Since our first report, Brandon Hawkins has resigned from his position. An investigation into the mail situation has been turned over to the U.S. Attorney's Office and Postal Management. No criminal charges have been filed in the case. Some stories play out like a good crime novel, leaving us asking who done it.
Coming up next on the 2013 Best of Carl Monday, the mystery of the missing money. Who dodged airport security and walked away with thousands of dollars in cash?
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Welcome back to the Best of Carl Monday.
As you travel this holiday season, let one Cleveland couple serve as a reminder of what not to do.
By the time they reached their destination, the pair had been robbed of their life savings. Carl Monday investigates who done it.
Over 2 months ago, 78-year-old Rudy Towns and his wife Gloria and this blue bag boarded Delta Flight 1432 out of Hopkins Airport, headed for Atlanta. After changing planes, they flew to Wilmington, North Carolina, in search of a retirement home. The night before, Rudy had stuffed an envelope with cash, the down payment, into the blue bag. When they arrived at Hopkins, they checked the bag at curbside with the rest of their luggage. It wasn't until later that day, when they settled in at the Super 8 Motel in Wilmington, that they made a jaw-dropping discovery.
You open up the bag, you pull out an envelope, you open the envelope. What'd you find?
Nothing.
I remember him opening up the envelope and he's going, "Where's my money?"
No money. All money gone.
We're not talking pocket change here. Remember, this was their down payment on a home.
Exactly. How much money did you have in that envelope?
$58,049.
You heard it right. $58,049. Their life savings gone.
I was shocked.
You didn't
I didn't believe him.
Now I know what you're thinking. Never mind. We already asked.
Why would you put $58,000 in an envelope, in a bag, and put it on an airplane?
I didn't want, by them patting me down and everything, I didn't want to say, "What you doing all this money on you? What you doing? You selling drugs or something like that?"
Jackie Mayo is the Hopkins Airport spokesperson. Her reaction to Rudy and Gloria's blue bag blunder? That was extremely stupid of them. They were begging to have it stolen.
Even the couple admits it was a bonehead move. Fact is, more than 2 months later, the money is still missing, and no one seems to have a clue where it disappeared or how.
We obtained this Hopkins surveillance video from the TSA. It's actual video of Rudy and Gloria's blue bag being inspected. TSA says its investigation shows none of its employees took anything. The couple isn't convinced.
That's $58,000 what he took out.
You think that's the envelope?
That's the $58,000. That's right.
We reviewed the video over and over and never saw anyone from TSA remove the envelope or the cash. So who took the money?
There's thousands of bags that go through that conveyor. Somebody had to notify somebody that that money was there in that bag.
We did talk to someone at Wilmington Airport. They say a review of their TSA video uncovered no theft. They tell us that Cleveland police told them the theft occurred somewhere between Cleveland and Atlanta. An Atlanta airport spokesperson wasn't even aware of the theft until our phone call. Atlanta police haven't called us back. In this email, Delta will only say that it's cooperating with local law enforcement in their investigation into this matter.
I'm angry. Y'all are responsible to give me back my $58,000.
Rudy and Gloria have bank statements that show the cash exists. It was money they bet their future on.
Month by month, where we had wrote down on savings and added it up over years, and this come about, well, it just messed me up. You understand? You know, it got to my heart.
Now, all the couple has left is an empty envelope and a trail of broken dreams.
We felt that we had enough to make a move to get a home, to get a new life together.
And now that dream is destroyed.
Yes, it is. destroyed by someone else's greediness. Took my life away.
Cleveland police say their investigation continues. Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
Coming up next, a confession that became an unforgivable sin.
You had turned on her and sexually abused her. Is that true?
No, it's not. That's not true.
A local woman claims she was raped by her parish priest. Was there a cover-up? The 2013 Best of Carl Monday continues next.
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Welcome back to the Best of Carl Monday.
A local woman is breaking her silence. She says she was sexually abused by a priest.
She says it happened more than 30 years ago, but nothing was ever done to bring her case to justice. So back in May, she sat down with Carl Monday, who's getting answers on this church sex scandal.
So how you been? Good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
24 years ago this week, George Bailey walked away from the priesthood with no regrets.
I'm living a happy life, and I'm with the Lord, and I feel one with God, and I'm happier than I've ever been.
The same can't be said for this woman we'll call Margaret, who says a long ago encounter with Bailey changed her life forever.
I held shame even as an adult. I held it in and still couldn't talk about it until now.
Now, talking openly to 19 Action News, claiming sexual abuse by her parish priest and the failure of the system to bring him to justice.
On November 28th of 1980.
That's the day it happened?
That's the day that it happened.
Immaculate Conception Church in Madison Township. 14-year-old Margaret, a sister and a friend, waiting for confession. But Margaret says Father Bailey leads her to a room in the parish hall behind the church.
And he turned around and he locked the door. He sat down and he asked me if I felt God. And I said, I think so.
Within moments, she says the priest performed an ungodly act.
He stood up and then he put his tongue into my mouth and was kissing me. And then he sat me down and he lifted up his robe and there it was.
What?
His manhood.
His private parts?
Private parts.
You had turned on her and sexually abused her. Is that true?
No, it's not. That's not true.
I kept screaming, no, I don't want this, I don't want this.
He raped you?
He raped me. Downright raped me. Violently.
I don't know where you got that information, but that I know is not true.
Margaret's allegations can be found in this report filed with Madison Township Police after the diocese alerted Lake County Children's Services. That was in 2009, 29 years after the alleged incident, raising the question,
why was nothing pursued in 1980?
That's a very good question. I'd like an answer to that one myself. But,
Detective James Dooley was on the Madison force back in 1980, but wasn't made aware of the rape allegations until 2009.
Serious allegations of rape, shouldn't that have been pursued?
Absolutely. I would think it would have been. If I personally would have been handling it, I can assure you that something would have been done.
In 2009, Dooley did take the allegations to the city prosecutor. But by then, the statute of limitations had run out.
And I really hate to think that our department would have dropped the ball on something like this. That's a shame.
How do you feel about the fact that he was never prosecuted?
Angry. I feel very angry.
In a phone conversation, Margaret's dad told us in 1980 he took the allegations to a fellow usher at the church, Pat Walsh. At the time, Walsh happened to be the police chief of Madison Township.
I told Pat Walsh, and Pat Walsh said, I'll take care of it, and he went and talked to the pastor. And that's the last I heard about it.
He did not protect me. He let a pedophile go. How could you do that?
But Walsh, now retired, says he doesn't remember the conversation with Margaret's dad, let alone the rape allegations.
I have no recollection of being involved in that. There was rumors around the town, so what you're talking about is vaguely familiar to me, but I have no first-hand information.
But was it just rumors? When the church scandal broke wide open in the 90s, the diocese released a list of priests who had already left the active ministry because of past allegations of abuse of minors. That list included the name of George Bailey. Did you really abuse those girls, sexually abuse those girls?
I'd rather not comment on any of that stuff because we were told not to.
According to the watchdog group BishopAccountability.org, Bailey was accused of sexually abusing at least 10 elementary school students in Akron and Bedford in the 60s and 70s.
I'm petrified of him. I still get nauseous. I still get scared. I still have nightmares.
I mean, what do you say to these women that say that you destroyed their life?
Please, I've been kind to you now.
I understand that.
And I don't like to be continually pushed on something.
I'm not pushing you.
Okay, so
Father, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
Let's just terminate this, okay?
I think the man needs to pay for the crimes that he did against me 32 years ago.
But in the eyes of the law and Father Bailey, this case is closed.
Okay, thank you.
Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
George Bailey remained an active priest for 8 years after the alleged rape and was even named pastor of a church in Medina. Now, if the incident was ever investigated, there's no record of it. Madison police say all their records from the early 80s were destroyed long ago.
We save our change to feed the meter so we don't get hit with a parking ticket.
But look at this. Some of the people paid to collect our coins busted napping on the job. Up next, what Carl Monday caught on camera on the city's dime.
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Welcome back to the best of Carl Monday.
They're responsible for collecting and depositing millions of dollars each year.
But what are some of Cleveland's parking meter collectors really doing on city time? Carl Monday went undercover.
It happens all the time.
Yes, downtown hairstylist Stephen Lawson got clipped again. He got another parking ticket.
They sit around and they lurk and they wait for your meters to run out just so they can give you a ticket. It's bad. It's horrible.
Parking ticket fines go into the city's general fund, along with the nickels, dimes, and quarters pumped into the parking meters. The revenue helps pay the salaries of these guys, the city's parking meter collectors. Over a 3-week period, we monitored the daily routines of the city's 3 meter collectors. What we found was a disturbing work ethic by the employees and a supervision breakdown by their bosses, along with a potential security breach involving millions of dollars. Nearly $2 million in coins are fetched from the meters each year, and it all begins around 6:15 each morning under the glow of the city's street lamps. But by as early as 8:30, the coin collectors drive their city vans to the Key Bank Operations Center on Tiedemann, a highly secure building where the city and major businesses make their daily deposits.
And this is a high-level operation in terms of, from a financial transaction, so we have to be very careful about security.
The parking meter collectors don't make their daily deposits until around noon. So what are they doing until then? Well, over the 3 weeks, we caught the city van sitting idle in remote areas of the massive bank employee parking lot, just hours into their shifts, hiding for 2 to 3 hours a day. Remember, at this point, thousands of dollars in parking meter coins are still sitting in the back of their vans. And what are the workers doing to protect your money? Take a look. This guy confuses his city van with a sleep number bed. Despite the roar of a nearby train, we caught him sleeping on the job on 3 different days. It's time for a 19 Action News wake-up call.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Carl Monday, 19 Action News. I didn't wake you up, did I? You're sleeping on the job, aren't you? Aren't you supposed to be out collecting meters? Don't drive away from us. Where are you going?
We found driver of vehicle number 2 also in Dreamland. Here he is, snoozing away in his city van. Nap time on city time.
Hey.
Oh.
Good morning.
Oh, how you doing?
Taking a little snooze, huh?
Yeah.
On city time.
Another wake-up call for a startled city worker.
I don't see any parking meters out here. What are you doing out here?
I'm right here.
It doesn't look like you're working. Where are you going?
Our 3rd meter coin collector must be suffering from insomnia. We found him awake the entire 3 weeks. Must have been all that coffee he drank on his 2 to 3 hour lunch break. Plenty of idle time to catch up on the news and attend to his personal grooming, but too busy to talk to 19 Action News.
Call director's office.
Well, I don't see any parking meters here. What are you guys doing here for so long?
We did take the worker up on his suggestion and went to City Hall for some answers. The meter collectors work for Public Works Director Michael Cox.
Didn't anybody know that these guys were sitting out there that long?
Mr. Monday, if you give me that evidence, I will look into the entire matter, top to bottom, and I will do whatever necessary to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Here's one guy sleeping.
But for Stephen Lawson, who helps pay the workers' salaries, the decision is clear.
They should be fired. Why should you get a check? I don't get paid if I don't work.
Will time soon expire for the city's snoozing and slacking parking meter collectors? We'll let you know. Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
All 3 meter collectors got 15 days suspension. 2 of their bosses were also suspended. Their supervisors also have new responsibilities to more closely monitor employees.
Carl Monday getting action. Well, the thought is usually the same, no matter who you ask. Let the survivors of the Seymour Avenue nightmare live in peace.
I need Carl Monday and a cameraman off my property now.
We went looking for answers after Carl found a convicted kidnapper getting a little too close for comfort. That exclusive investigation next.
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Welcome back to the best of Carl Monday.
Not long after she was rescued from a decade of hell, a man accused of raping and kidnapping another woman showed up at the home of Gina DeJesus.
What was he doing there? And why didn't anyone warn Gina and her family? Carl Monday went looking for answers.
Matt McMillan is the owner of Budget One Fence, a successful residential and commercial fence company in Berea. If the name sounds familiar, it should. Back in July, Budget One built this security fence around the home of Gina DeJesus. It was a generous offer, a $4,000 donation by the company, and a feel-good moment for the workers who built it.
So I thought it was a good thing to do.
It was also a good thing for Budget One Fence, who got the kind of publicity money can't buy. The story was retold worldwide on TV and social media.
We're looking for the owner. Are you the owner?
Nope.
So why doesn't the owner want to talk about it?
Carl Monday from 19 Action News. We wanted to ask you about a guy named...
Get the off my...
Why won't you talk to us? What's that all about?
Thank you for the support.
When the fence was built back in July, a grateful Gina beamed, "I really wanted the fence. It means a lot to me." Her mom, Nancy Ruiz, said she thanked McMillan and his crew from the bottom of my heart. But there was something that McMillan never told Gina, who was beaten, kidnapped, and raped for a decade by Ariel Castro, something he never told her parents. The Budget One crew that built Gina's fence includes this man, 23-year-old Christopher Raderowitz. What you can't see is that Raderowitz is wearing a court-ordered monitoring bracelet like this one for a criminal case in which he was charged with kidnapping and rape, charges similar to those brought against Ariel Castro. The Barcode Bar in Parma, April of last year. Raderowitz strikes up a conversation with a woman at the bar. After a few drinks, he offers her a ride home. The couple then goes to her apartment in Parma. According to a police investigation, the victim said she didn't feel good and just wanted to go to bed. Next thing, she tells police Raderowitz is on top of her, penetrating her. Crying, she pleads for Raderowitz to get off of me. But she says he doesn't stop. We tried to get Raderowitz's version of that night, but when we tracked him down at his current job, he ran for cover. But his boss defended him.
There's nothing wrong with this kid. He don't bother nobody. He got in a jam with a broad.
But Parma police believe the woman's story. 3 weeks after the incident, they arrested Raderowitz. Soon after, he was indicted by a county grand jury on 7 counts of felonious assault, rape, attempted rape, and kidnapping, and released on $100,000 bond. Raderowitz cut a deal with prosecutors, pleading guilty to kidnapping and assault in exchange for dropping the rape charges. He was placed on 4 years probation, and as part of the plea deal, he was ordered to get a job, which led him to Budget One Fence.
Let's just have a little talk here.
We can understand why owner Matt McMillan would want to give a convicted felon a second chance. But why assign an accused rapist and convicted kidnapper to work on the home of all people Gina DeJesus. Don't look for an answer from McMillan.
Why did you hire a felon to erect the fence at Gina's? What? Didn't you guys erect
I need Berea police off my... I need...
You keep your hands off our equipment.
They get the off my property.
What are you trying to do here?
I need Carl Monday and a cameraman off my property now.
Do we have the rest of our equipment here?
Berea.
Yeah. I gotta leave here.
Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
They respectfully declined. As for Christopher Raderowitz, Budget One Fence ended his employment the day after we attempted to talk to the company owner. The story doesn't end there, though.
That's right. Carl tells us the police are all too familiar with Matt McMillan. Coming up next, a look at a string of convictions.
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. New Sport First Alert Forecast on Q104. Today's best music. Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Welcome back to the best of Carl Monday.
Carl Monday found a convicted kidnapper and accused rapist working at the home of Gina DeJesus, a survivor of similar charges committed by Ariel Castro.
Now Carl looks at the man who hired that worker and his own brushes with the law.
Why did you hire a felon to erect the fence at Gina's?
What?
Didn't you guys erect
I need Berea police off my... I need...
You keep your hands off our equipment.
They get the off my property.
Matt McMillan wasted no time calling police after we questioned him about this man, 23-year-old Christopher Raderowitz. The owner of Budget One Fence Company in Berea hired Raderowitz, who was accused of kidnapping and raping a Parma woman last year. In a plea deal, he pleaded guilty to the kidnapping and the rape charges were dropped. McMillan can hire who he wants. It's his company. But you may wonder, why assign a convicted kidnapper to help erect a donated security fence at the home of Gina DeJesus, one of Ariel Castro's kidnapping victims? Here's McMillan's explanation.
How do you even know what
Get the off me.
McMillan's short fuse is well known in police circles. Here's surveillance camera video of him trying to run his own customers off the side of the road. They protested in front of his business. McMillan pleaded guilty to aggravated menacing. And here's McMillan stealing a competitor's sign from a work site after he lost the job to the other company. The video was used to convict McMillan on charges of disorderly conduct and intoxication. McMillan was also convicted of spitting on a man after the two engaged in a road rage incident on Bagley Road.
Get the off.
An owner with a short fuse, an employee accused of rape and convicted of kidnapping. What were these people doing at the home of Gina DeJesus, just 2 months after the horror on Seymour Avenue? We also tried asking Raderowitz, the convicted kidnapper, at his new job. He quickly ran from our camera. His boss made it clear he wasn't talking.
Please put that thing down.
Well, you don't have to use foul language.
I will use any language I want in my place of business. Get out now.
Carl Monday, 19 Action News.
You leave this kid alone. Don't you have something better to do?
It's not always doom and gloom when Carl Monday shows up on a scene.
In fact, one of Carl's most memorable moments took months to play out and ended with one happy pup. We'll have the details when we come back.
Have a tip or story idea that needs investigated? Get in touch with Carl Monday today. Welcome back to the best of Carl Monday.
There you go. There you go.
Remember that? Carl Monday coming to the rescue of a dog left for hours inside a steamy truck on a 100-degree day.
Well, the dog's owner, Ashley Lewis, he pleaded no contest to attempted abandonment of an animal and was placed on probation. The good news here is the dog is now in the company of a caring family who adopted the pet from the city kennel. That is great news. He has a loving home now.
He does. Carl's looking out for our four-legged friends, too.
He has a huge heart.
He does. Well, from tracking down police and convicted kidnappers, Carl Monday has had a busy year.
Be sure to stay with 19 Action News in 2014 as our chief investigator hits the streets to keep Northeast Ohio honest. Thank you so much for watching.